This is why the Democrats are as responsible as the Republicans for the implementation of Project 2025.
I'm trying to figure out what leverage we actually have. What leverage do we have? They control the House, the Senate, and the presidency. It's their government. What leverage do we have?
That is weak. Weak. To everyone who voted for this party in the latest elections, the Democrats didn't just throw you under the bus by not stopping the genocide in Gaza. They are continually, at the moment, throwing you under the bus by not opposing in any way the Republicans' racist roadmap. This is the true face of the party you support.
The worst aspect of the Democrats has been their leadership, right? Chuck Schumer is embarrassing. I mean, he's humiliating. First of all, he's 412 years old, right? Second of all, he says stuff like, the people are so aroused. I've never seen them so aroused. I see so many aroused penises. Just like, why are you saying aroused? Like what? He did that goofy chant the other, we will win, we will win, we will win. He's just not up to the moment, right? The other thing is Hakeem Jeffries is Trashington. Just horrible. He has anti-charisma. He ain't leading nowhere, dog. And so now, look, I've come to the conclusion, both Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, they got to go. There's just no way around it. They have to go. They just have to.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So we got to talk about more infighting on the left because liberals and leftists are upset with the Democrats and their leadership due to the fact that they feel as if the Democrat leadership has essentially admitted defeat to President Trump. Now, what's actually going on with the Democrats and their leadership? Well, Democrats can't really do anything about what President Trump is doing because they are not in power. But that doesn't mean that they should actually be against everything that Trump is doing, right? Or that they should do nothing at all. Okay, we're going to get a little bit deeper into this conversation. But what they're doing now is that they are relying on the judicial system, activists, liberal judges to try to stop President Trump. And we're probably going to get a little bit deeper into this conversation about the judges and what they're doing in a later video. However, for this video, we just want to focus on the fact that liberals, leftists, the Democrats, their constituents, the Trump deranged people, that is, they are desperate to stop President Trump. And they're demanding that the Democrats do anything to try to stop the president, including issuing a subpoena for big balls and impeaching President Elon Musk, and also threatening to shut down the government if Republicans cannot agree on a budget in a month. Take a look.
Does not like the idea that a guy who would not even be constitutionally eligible to run for president is acting as president, a guy who, if he were president, would be impeached immediately because he's taking billions of dollars in foreign government emoluments from all over the world. And some people have actually been talking about impeaching President Elon Musk right now, on the theory that he's usurped the powers of the presidency. So I think.
Let me ask you this, because the Democrats are in the minority, so you have only so much leverage. Have you all essentially made it clear to Mike Johnson that until they allow you all to subpoena big balls and the normalized Indian hate guy, at least subpoena them or subpoena Elon Musk?
We should be very clear with the American people that the House is governed by a Republican majority, the Senate is governed by a Republican majority, and the White House has a Republican president. And if they want to pass their agenda, Republicans need to conjure up the votes for them to pass their own bills.
Yeah, so you say that you heard that, okay? Those are basically the options on the table right now for Democrats, which means that they don't really have too many options, to be honest with you, right? There's not really that much they can do. Again, they have to rely on the court. And I don't know how well that option is going to work out in the long term. But regardless, at least for right now, Hakeem Jeffries, a.k.a. Discount Obama, who has the charisma of a cardboard box, he basically is waving a white flag, right? He's coming out here and saying, well, what do you want us to do? We're not in power. We can't really do anything to stop President Trump. It is what it is, right? He's basically folding, right? He's folding. So now, again, the liberals, they're upset, right? They're upset. The leftists are upset. The Trump deranged base, they're upset about this. and they're calling for new leadership, right? They want new leadership due to the fact that Hakeem Jeffries has basically waved the white flag when it comes to trying to stop President Trump. So let's actually get into TYT's coverage of this, because they're going to be upset with Hakeem Jeffries, and rightfully so. But I disagree with the leftists in regards to this idea that Democrats need to, quote unquote, fight back against Trump. Okay, I definitely don't think the Democrats should do nothing, but this idea that they have to just fight back, right, no matter what, and fight back against everything that Trump does is part of the reason why they're losing. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this.
We want to get stuff done. We want to make life better for the American people. But I'm trying to figure out what leverage we actually have. What leverage do we have? Republicans have repeatedly lectured America. They control the House, the Senate, and the presidency. It's their government. What leverage do we have?
The fearless opposition party, ladies and gentlemen. Give them a round of applause. Give them a round of applause. There's nothing we can do. What do you want us to do? I'm going to stand here as the House minority leader and complain about how we don't have any leverage when I could be messaging about how there's a robbery going on right now as we speak. The dismantling of the government agencies seeking to return money to Americans who are defrauded by the big banks. Can you maybe muster up enough energy to give a speech about that? House minority leader. Yeah. Hakeem Jeffries. God, the Democrats are so pathetic. They're so pathetic because if you don't agree with what the Trump administration is up to, if you don't identify as a Republican, if you didn't want to vote for Donald Trump, what other option do you have? Okay? The party that tried to run a decomposing corpse, and then when he got caught, they anointed the Democratic nominee. The party that keeps telling you that there's nothing they can do, whether they're in power or out of power.
Yeah, I mean,
come on.
So, guys, you've literally heard me sometimes sing this line. There's nothing we could do. There's nothing we can do. That's the Democratic mantra. And that they say that when they get in power. They're like, oh, the filibuster, the parliamentarian, skittle boo. You're like, that's not even a word. It doesn't matter. There's nothing we could do. There's nothing we could do.
So pathetic.
And now that they're in the minority, here comes Hakeem Jeffries to sing the same song. There's nothing we could do. Then what? You know what? The American people believed you. You kept telling them that you can't do anything, so they voted you out of power because you can't do anything. Why don't you man up and grow a spine and a brain and actually figure out a strategy? That moron just said, well, and you know, the Republicans have the House and the Senate and the White House, and the Republicans message to the American people. Wait, why don't you message to the American people? You're doing a press conference right there, schmuck. Why don't you get out your message? I didn't think about that. Look, I need you to understand.
Well, see, here's the thing, right? I think that criticism of the Democrat Party leadership being weak is valid, right? It is weak. When Sonny Holston came out here and talked about Hakeem Jeffries being a great leader just because he's black, right? It really just shows you how delusional some people are in the Democrat Party base, right? But when you talk about not being able to do anything, right? Right now, the Democrats actually really can't do much in opposition to what President Trump is doing outside of relying on the courts. But that doesn't mean that they should be doing that, right? It doesn't mean that they should be just opposed to everything that President Trump is doing. That's the problem. That's what these people don't understand, is that right now, President Trump is as popular as he's ever been. Okay, he's never been more popular, and that's with 100% Trump deranged media, right? So you have all the propaganda in the media, nothing but 100% negative news coverage, 24/7, and he still has the approval of a majority of the American people. So when you're facing those type of numbers, it is not wise for the Democrats to stand in opposition to everything that Trump is doing, right? Right now, they're standing in opposition to everything. They're kicking and screaming and crying about President Trump getting rid of DEI. They're kicking, screaming, crying about President Trump trying to protect women's rights. They're kicking and screaming and crying about the mass deportations. They're kicking and screaming and crying about President Trump trying to cut wasteful spending out of the government. These are all things that the president is doing that the American people agree with, and he still has a positive approval rating, the highest ever. But this is what Democrats have been kicking and screaming and crying about. So when, you know, Jake and Anna talk about how Democrats aren't really doing anything, Well, I mean, they're relying on the courts, and they're also boo-hoo-whining and crying about everything that Trump is doing. They're out there protesting. They're trying to break into the Department of Education, right? Now, they look weak doing it because their party is old and feeble, right? But that's the issue. The issue is that they should not be opposed to everything the president's doing. If Democrats were smart, what they actually should be doing is saying on certain issues, like, for example, the gender issue, on mass deportations, and even on cutting unnecessary government waste, they should be saying, how do we work with the president? We want to work with it. We agree. There is wasteful spending in the government. How do we work with Elon Musk and the president to modernize our systems? Which, again, this is something that Democrats have come out and opposed to, right? They're opposed to working with Elon Musk, who is one of the greatest entrepreneurs that we have, to modernize our ancient government systems, right? They're against that. Okay, they're just opposed to it, right? They're opposed to cutting out wasteful spending. They're opposed to auditing the government. Again, these are things that the American people agree with. You may disagree with Elon Musk, but the American people agree with the idea that the government should face some accountability for excessive spending that has driven this country into trillions of dollars of debt. Again, this is the type of stuff that causes an empire to collapse, right? That's what happens, okay? When you have bad fiscal and monetary management of a country, it's a serious issue. And the American people are tired of their taxpayer dollars being spent on things that don't produce a positive return on investment for the American people. So you may disagree with Elon Musk being involved, but the move is not to just be opposed to it no matter what. The move is to actually try to at least make it look like you want to work together, that you want to accomplish what the American people want our politicians to do. But that's not what Democrats are doing. Right now, Democrats look like, well, they're opposed to transparency. You have Democrats in these local cities, these sanctuary cities, that have come out and said, we're going to Trump-proof the cities. We're not going to work with the federal government to deport criminals. It's a terrible look. It just looks bad. So again, that's the thing about these leftists that I just laugh, because it's like, they don't get it either. They're right. Their leadership is weak, but they're wrong in the sense that they think that their leadership should just be opposed to Trump no matter what. That's the problem, right? The problem is not that the Democrats aren't opposed to Trump enough, or they aren't opposing Trump enough. The problem is that they aren't agreeing with Trump enough. That's the problem. You are not in a position, Democrats are not in a position where they can really oppose President Trump and it helps them out, because President Trump is popular. Now, it'd be different if President Trump was not popular. If President Trump had the popularity numbers, the approval numbers that Joe Biden had during his administration, then Democrats would be right to basically oppose everything that the president wants to do, because the people are also opposed to the president, right? But right now, it just looks like the Democrats are standing against the people. And the crazy thing about it is that because they're raging against everything, nothing that they rage against actually seems legitimate or serious, right? If you decide to work with the president on the things that the American people agree with, and then you oppose the president on things that the American people disagree with, your disagreements would actually look more legitimate. But because there's outrage every day over everything, right? It looks performative at this point, right? And it looks weak. And that's what these people don't understand. This is what they don't understand.
These Democratic leadership, mainstream media told you your whole life about how they're amazing people. They literally said, when we were criticizing Barack Obama from the left, you don't understand, he's doing 4-dimensional chess. He 4-dimensional chess to no change at all other than Obamacare, okay? He 4D chess all the way to a giant bank bailout that made the Democratic Party deeply unpopular and lost 1,000 seats. And here comes Hakeem Jeffries to go, there's nothing I can do. They're dumb. They're right, and they're incompetent.
Incompetent, feckless.
Total losers.
Yep, 100%. This is it. This is the.
I agree, but for different reasons, right? I agree. I personally think they're losers because they should be working with President Trump. Standing in opposition to everything that the president is doing is the reason why they're losing. This is why they can't win.
The opposition party. So look, his explanation for why Democrats can't deliver for Americans right now is that Republicans just never let them get anything done, right? That's the role of your opposition party, Hakeem Jeffries. But isn't it amazing that when Republicans want something, they usually find a way to get what they want? Anyway, he doubled down later in the same press conference. Let's hear what the House Minority Leader has to say.
We've made clear from the beginning, there's a season to govern and a season to campaign. We are in the governing season. And so we're ready to work together on any issue. But I'm also confused about the leverage that we allegedly have in the face of such an overwhelming mandate that was given to Republicans by the American people, according to them.
Yeah, so when they come out here and say they want to work with him, what they actually really mean is that, well, we want to work with him on the things that we want to do, right? We want to do this stuff. And yeah, we want him to agree to what we want to do. But again, you are in the minority. You lost, right? So the Democrats really should move to the center. That's the real answer. The answer is to move to the center, because what they need to realize right now is that Trump is what we call a transformational president, which is a president that essentially has influence over future presidents, future administrations for the next coming decade, right? That's essentially what it is. Trump is a movement, kind of like Reagan, in the sense that even after Reagan, even Democratic presidents, like, for example, Bill Clinton, he still had to embrace Reaganism to a certain extent, right? Democrats have to embrace Trumpism, okay? Under Bill Clinton, Democrats, hey, they brag about this. They say, hey, we had a balanced budget under Bill Clinton, right? We had a surplus. And this is the first thing they'll say every single time people talk about the reckless spending that has been done by Democrats. The first thing they'll say is that, well, Bill Clinton is the last president that we had a Democrat. It's the last president to balance the budget. Okay, great. Why don't you get back to that? Get back to that. Why don't you come out here and to outflank the Republicans on the right when it comes to what the American people agree with, which is that, hey, we want to stop the waste, fraud, and abuse. We want a balanced budget, okay? We want the government to actually, I don't know, spend money wisely, right? And not just waste it on your pet projects. Nah, they can't do that though, right? They can't do that. They can't do that. But see, that is what they actually really need to do, right? That would be an intelligent party, right? They would realize that, okay, this is what American people are. Let's outflank the Republicans on some of these issues, right? And then make them vote against what their constituents want, right? Let's make them stand against what their constituents want. But that will require the Democrats to not be a corrupt party, which unfortunately they are a corrupt party, and they benefit from the excessive spending, the kickbacks, the waste, fraud, and abuse. So again, they're not going to do that, right? They're never going to do that, which again is why their party is dying right now.
Listen, no one is stupid enough to think that Democrats have a modicum of power right now. They don't. They have no power right now. We all understand that. But how about take a look at the behavior of Republicans when they are not in power? You want to know what they do? They don't shut up, okay? They're doing press conferences. They're doing congressional hearings. They're repetitive again and again. I mean, the Hillary Benghazi thing. Every single day, Hillary Benghazi, Hillary Benghazi, Hillary Benghazi. Democrats, though, oh, they cower. They cower. And then they tell their own supporters, shut up. There's nothing we can do because we don't have enough power. And then what they'll say is, we need to have control of Congress. And then everyone will get out the vote. They'll organize, they'll canvass, they'll fight real hard to ensure Democrats have the majority in Congress in both the lower chamber, Senate. And guess what they do with that power? Nothing. That's what Biden had. And then it was excuse after excuse after excuse for why they can't get their own agenda accomplished, even when they had control of the executive branch and they had control of Congress. But don't worry, don't fret, because there's another Democratic leader who's gonna fight for us, and she's gonna explain how in this next clip.
My whole passion about being in politics is for the children. So what is it that we're doing for the children? I think that it would have been important for the children to not have Donald Trump be president of the United States. And that is, I would take every step necessary to make sure that didn't happen, but it did. And now we have to deal with it. And in about 6 or 7 months, you're going to see such a change. By the time we start our campaigns in this fall, for next fall, you're going to see a very different picture about the Democrats vis-a-vis Donald Trump.
Retire. She's sitting there and talking about, like, don't worry, in 6 months, we might start fighting back. Like,
and I want to explain why she says 6 to 7 months. First, let me go through all this, and we're going to be constructive. I'm going to tell you what they actually should do, okay? Because I think we're the only show that ever does that, right? So first of all, on Hakeem Jeffries, he says, well, there's nothing we do in the minority. But wait a minute, when you were in the majority and Biden had the House, the Senate, and the White House, you also said there was nothing you could do. Why? Because the GOP was blocking all your bills, even though they were in the minority because of the filibuster. So why don't you do the same thing? And then there would be something you could do. Why don't you just do exactly what the Republicans did to you that you complained about when Biden was in charge?
Well, I mean, that is what they're doing, right? That's what I don't understand about this, right? I'm just kind of confused because it's like, yeah, Democrats, they're basically voting against all of President Trump's nominees, right? Even the ones that they don't really have any real excuses to deny, right? Just based off precedent. But that's what they're doing. They're definitely trying to filibuster everything that the president does, right? There's some things that they should not be trying to filibuster, right? They should not be standing in opposition to anything that makes the border more secure or that helps stop illegal immigrant criminals. Yeah, these are the things that Democrats should not be standing against. But again, this is the problem, right? This is the issue, is that you don't get the ability to stand against everything when the president and his agenda are popular, right? When he's doing the things that American people want him to do. This is what they don't understand. You can't just be in opposition to things to be in opposition to it, because that puts you in very weird positions. Democrats right now in a very weird position. They're standing against cutting waste, fraud, and abuse out of the government. They're standing against punishing and deporting illegal immigrant criminals. They're standing against rooting out racism within the government and corporate America. They're standing against women's rights. These are not popular things to stand against, but this is what they're doing. And you got people that think they should double and triple down on that. No, what Democrats should do is to pick their battles better, right? To actually genuinely try to work with the president on things that the American people agree with. And if they have a problem with something that the president is doing, is to choose carefully the battles that they want to fight, so that the battles that they want to fight look more legitimate, right? Because right now they're trying to fight every battle and none of the battles look legitimate, and that's the problem. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.